Alors, on est où? Tac. Français. Merde. Please choose the screen and subtitle. Alors, du coup, début de l'expérience. J'ai jamais joué, moi, à ça. Tout le monde avait l'air de connaître... Veuillez choisir une langue pour les textes et les sous-titres. Français aussi. Ah, confirmé. Très bien. Avez-vous déjà joué à The Stanley Parable? Jamais. Déjà, c'est pas si simple de cliquer sur les boutons. Alors, déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que l'ordinateur soit à peine visible. Ah, mais en fait, on peut jouer à la manette? Bon, je vais mettre comme ça parce que sinon, c'est... Ok. Entrez l'heure actuelle. Il est 17h tout pile. Ah oui, c'est en PM. Ah bah, il est 5 PM en plus. Parfait. Remarque, les paramètres d'accessibilité sont accessibles depuis le menu principal. Non, mais en vrai, j'ai aucune idée de ce que c'est du coup, parce que j'avais déjà vu le jeu passer, mais je sais pas ce qu'on fait dans le jeu, quoi. The end is never. Appuyez
This
sur...
is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ok.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Ok.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day,
Ah, ça a pas l'air
every
fou quand
month
même.
of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Ok, Stanley.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour
Y a rien qui
when
lui
he
était proposé.
realized that not one
Putain.
single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid,
C'est un jeu d'horreur,
Stanley
genre?
found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. On sort.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Il y a tellement de bureaux, putain. C'est où le meeting room?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Et il se passe quoi si je vais dans celle de droite? Ah, on va suivre pour l'instant, on va pas faire n'importe. 413. Y'a personne nulle part, ok. C'est l'interrogatoire là.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Bon, ok, on va voir le boss. On va monter.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Wow, mais c'est quoi ça, ce bureau là?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't pop. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
What the fuck? En fait, je sais pas si je vais avoir peur ou... Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette merde? Mais là on va tomber à droite là. Je peux pas passer là, mais là c'est un mont de charge où il n'y a pas le mont de charge. Là je vais tomber là. Il n'y a pas le... Il y a une lampe, il y a des trucs écrits, il n'y a rien d'écrit. Mais là... Ça a changé, il n'y a rien qui a changé. Ok, bah non, juste faut descendre, je pense. Mais là, je vais me casser une jambe, non? Ah putain, non, en fait, j'ai cru que c'était le trou, ok. Je voyais pas la lumière, j'ai cru qu'il était juste pas là et que la porte était ouverte.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Oula.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Attends. Non mais là genre on est... Mind Control Facility, mais en fait on est lobotomisé, sauf que j'ai pris le contrôle de moi, donc je vais m'échapper.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ah. Lui ça a l'air d'être mon pote, mais en même temps à quel point c'est mon pote. Bon.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
C'est trop bien le jeu.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Spoilez rien dans le chat, ceux qui ont déjà joué, j'ai jamais joué, j'avoue que ça m'intrigue, c'est tellement what the fuck comme jeu là pour l'instant. Ok, donc ta caméra de surveillance, il y a différents boutons. Non, il n'y a rien de spécial.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
T'en as deux de virés, t'en as un qui est chelou. Non, on est combien nous? On est 400 quelque chose? 417? Je sais même plus. Je suis numéro combien les gars, au tout début? Si juste, dites-moi ça. 400 quelque chose, mais 427. Ah, c'est moi ça. Et y a quoi sur ma cam? Y a juste mon petit bureau, mais rien de plus. Y a personne nulle part. Y a pas un employé qui peut rester, on sait jamais. Peut-être le Fireyard là, juste pour voir ce qu'il y a sur le Fireyard. Bah rien de spécial, il est pas mort non plus.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah mais comment tu détruis tout? T'as le bouton 5 là. C'est quoi les choix? Parce que du coup tu dois avoir quand même quelques choix à dispo, non? En fonction de ce que t'as envie de faire. C'est tout offline. Là il y a le 3. T'as un bouton à chaque fois. Et au milieu c'est quoi? C'est un rite satanique ou quoi le truc là? 1, 2. C'est des portes mais tu peux ouvrir? Tu peux pas ouvrir. Faut faire quoi? Faut faire dans l'ordre? Là c'est violet là, mais il passe quoi au milieu là? Ah c'est vive Satan ici? C'est quoi le truc là? Y'a pas un code? Machin, activate, waiting for contact, activate powers. Ah, je dois faire quoi? Je dois activer dans l'ordre? Je vais activer dans l'ordre du coup. Là c'est le 3 donc 1, 2. Il est où le 4? Oh c'est quoi ça? Pourquoi c'est l'écran différent? Control disable. Ok. Bon. Ah, le 4 est là-haut? Un, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, c'est fermé. Putain, on voit rien en plus. Ça doit être là-haut le dernier bouton. Mais si je fais un 2. 1, 2, 5, ça sera 1, 2, 3, 5, c'est dingue. Comment on fait monter ce truc-là? Y'a pas un code ailleurs? System power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power,
Pourquoi il y avait des
he knew it
numéros
was
dans
his
l'autre?
duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
On a tout détruit. Mais du coup, je fais partie du système, donc je suis mort. C'est quoi ce jeu là? Je pose trop de questions du coup.
Madness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
On a gagné?
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Bah ouais, il y a 1, 2, 3, 4,
Where
5.
had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to
C'est trop man
understand,
show quoi.
but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Genre en gros, soit je reste et je résous le truc, soit je me casse et je vis ma vie.
And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth
Ça a l'air
knowing.
joli là-bas quand même, hein.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
En fait, je veux comprendre ce qui se passe si jamais genre tu fais pas ce qu'il dit, parce que tout à l'heure, du coup, le mec m'a dit non machin. Là, c'est bloqué derrière. Je veux pas faire bugger le truc, quoi. Ah ouais, non.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path
On est en
before
Suisse
him.
là tout d'un coup.
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ah oui, content. Et du coup... The end is never. Ah, tu reviens en boucle le truc? Et tu sors du tableau? 427. Putain, je comprends rien.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't
tu
find
dois
a
trouver
trace
les
of his
différents trucs et
co-workers.
du coup potentiellement des traces des autres mecs. Là, j'ai pu éteindre un PC par exemple. De 435. Est-ce que quelque chose va changer parce que j'ai éteint le PC de 435 ? Je vais éteindre tous les PC sur celle-là. Awaiting input. Oh, mais là je peux peut-être écrire un code. Input received. J'ai envoyé un input là. Comment je fais d'autres inputs? Putain, à côté, peut-être sur les autres PC, il y a toute une série de codes. Surname access. Vous me donnez des infos avec les trucs? 8 Mondays. Pas très boulot. Il décrit des trucs, sell in this quarter. That does not make sense. Ok.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah mais là c'est la classique. En fait la question c'est que je pense que c'est obvious que du coup comme tu refais le truc, tu le fais là tirer à droite, sauf que moi je vais aller à gauche parce que là je suis dans une run différente parce que j'ai un truc avec les écrans. Et du coup je fais la run de gauche plusieurs fois mais en faisant un truc avec les écrans pour savoir ce qui va se passer. Mais genre je peux avoir...
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Mais là c'est pas si mal. Recent coworkers. En fait la question c'est où est-ce que tu prends des infos? Ouais c'est pas ma bad hein, si vous me spoilez s'il vous plaît parce que Ah! Putain j'ai...
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Il va y avoir un truc. Rien, c'est
There
quoi?
was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Un truc là-dedans 100% parce qu'il te le dit 3 fois alors que d'habitude sinon... Tu te cogner la tête dans les murs.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is,
Il y a trop de
he's
forcing sur ce
literally
truc
just
pour
standing
que...
there doing sweet FA.
Les tunnels, genre il y a un truc avec les colliers.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ouais, dans le gouffre. Mais en fait, tu dois récupérer des trucs ou même pas? Parce que là, il y a... Tu vois, la fiche là... Oula, j'ai eu peur que ce soit un... Fire Rose. Ah, je prends la voiture et
But
je pars.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange
C'est la
observations.
boucle là.
For example, why couldn't he see his feet when
Putain,
he
c'est vrai,
looked
ça.
down? Why did doors close automatically behind him
Ah, ça, on
wherever
avait
he
capté ça.
went?
Un
And for that
2B4.
matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange.
On m'a
This
demandé
can't be
mon heure au
real.
début.
And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an
Un 2B4.
explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
Rien qui change de pièce en
Stanley
pièce.
is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Je peux continuer à avancer?
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job.
Non, on veut
All I
comprendre.
want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
Ouna.
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Incroyable la voix par contre.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Boom. Ok.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok, on va voir Pop 427. Donc en gros, t'as un peu des patterns, des fins, des trucs. La question c'est est-ce qu'à chaque fin, par exemple, là du coup avec les ordinateurs, on avait un petit truc.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Bon, c'est un jeu qui va rendre fou, hein, si vous n'avez pas compris encore.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Waiting input. Tu vois, il faut encore le faire 3 fois, je pense, si on aura quelque chose. Pour avoir un mot. La question, c'est est-ce que je dois tout delete autour ou pas? Ça, je sais pas. Tu vois, là, t'as aussi un truc à l'intérieur, mais on peut pas faire grand chose. Mais 425, c'est peut-être en faisant le tour. Le truc, c'est qu'il y a peu d'endroits où... Il y a peut-être des portes certaines sont ouvertes. J'étais pas au courant parce que tout à l'heure, par exemple, on
When
avait...
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah putain, là, il me dit gauche. Bon,
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
on connaît pas à la droite, là, on va aller.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
C'est quoi là? Tu reviens du coup de tout à l'heure? Ou sinon il y a ça. Et ça, je pense que si on rentre, ça va refermer derrière nous quoi. Vas-y.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Là, t'avais les trucs A2 et tout, mais je sais pas à quel point. En fait, je sais pas à quel point faut qu'on se pose des questions aussi, à quel point on doit interpréter, parce qu'en fait, t'as quasiment rien à. Là, t'as besoin d'une carte. À regarder, tu peux rien prendre, entre guillemets. Là, ta seule solution, c'est de te suicider, du coup?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Si je me suicide.
I'm not your enemy, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley left from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
C'est drôle. Ok. Mais du coup, on va quand même avoir avancé.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Non, c'est toujours le
room.
même
Perhaps
truc,
he had simply missed a memo.
Good job, Stanley. C'est pas toujours le même PC, par contre, qui a... Il est où le PC à input? Il n'y a plus le PC à input. Je pense que les portes, elles sont tout le temps fermées, quoi. J'imagine. Mais là, tu vois, typiquement, on n'avait plus le PC à input. Est-ce que c'est parce que je... Non, je...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either.
En fait, je sais pas à quel point faut...
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go, oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Le jeu est trop stylé. Ça a tellement envie de backseat ce jeu. Ah bah ouais, bah... Retenez-vous les amis. Même les suppositions et tout, s'il vous plaît, parce que c'est vrai que sinon ça va être...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
En fait, c'est dur parce que c'est pas comme si tu faisais vraiment des propositions. On n'est jamais allé voir à gauche là. To be rich, it's a crime. To commit crimes isn't it rich? To life, it would be to have to pick just one. Oh, c'est des mots profonds. Ça c'est quoi? Fait réfléchir, hein. Ouais, c'est vraiment ça. Ah, il y a un petit panda. Est-ce que ça ferme l'autre truc? Non, ça ferme pas, c'est juste une pièce additionnelle. Ah, il y a un petit panda, il se fait pointer de... Est-ce que si je descends de 2 étages, je reviens là où on était? veux arrêter là par exemple. C'est genre infini entre guillemets. Et si je monte, on pouvait pas monter plus. C'est infini ici. Ça chante. Tu vois, comme tu peux pas profiter, t'as pas les trucs de notes ou de... Bon, ça va être infini ici. Ah! Input received. Il nous en manque 2 là, tu vois.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs.
En fait, tu peux rien faire
anything on the device
si on
was
te plante
useless,
volontairement
since he
entre
could
guillemets.
never possibly know that the combination was
C'est ça que je voulais mettre.
2845.
Ce que j'ai du mal à comprendre, c'est que tu peux pas faire des contre-choix.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random
Ouais, non,
buttons,
je sais, je voulais mettre 55 juste pour
Stanley
voir s'il se
happened
passait
to
quelque chose
input
d'autre.
the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Là, tu peux pas remettre un truc. On va se refaire l'intégrale. Je peux pas monter. Je suis mort? Ah non, juste il t'épargne le... Là, tu vois, t'as une vieille peinture, mais pourquoi t'as cette peinture? Parce que là, t'as des trucs. C'est pas comme s'il y avait une cage d'aération en haut, tu vois. En fait, comme tu peux pas sélectionner, attraper des trucs, tu sais pas ce que tu peux faire.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that
J'appuie
read
sur B.
Mind Control
Oh, vas-y, on va
Facility.
mourir comme ça. On va mourir un coup et on verra bien. Hein.
Although this passageway had the word escape written
pense que
on
je
it,
meurs vraiment,
the
mais
truth
bon.
was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Bah, voyons voir. Hein. De toute façon, quoi qu'il arrive, la meilleure piste qu'on a, c'est les trucs
The door
d'ordi.
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making
C'est
a
genre infini,
conscious,
non?
concerted effort
C'est infini,
to
on
walk
est toujours à la même
forward
distance?
and willingly confront his death.
Ah non, on va juste se crever. Boum. En effet, on est mort. Ah non, on n'est pas mort, on tombe sur nos pieds.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
Ah non, je vais juste se faire
Stanley
écrabouiller
can't
au
see
bout.
the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so
On va
he
se faire
resigned
exploser, là.
and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh non, on va se faire exploser. Oh, ça a bloqué. Ah non, on va se faire exploser.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine
me
crushed
cache.
every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh, Oh, ça a changé de voix.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Je comprends pas. Oh, il y a une porte qui se... On surfe.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance,
On est où?
death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Mais c'est quoi ici là? En fait, t'as toutes les infos, remerciements, machin et tout. En gros, là, t'as tous les trucs, les deux portes. Ces deux portes ouvertes constituent la toute première pièce du game design de Stanley. Une fois que cette pièce a été créée, le reste du jeu a été émergé à partir de ce point de départ. Attention spoil. Mais c'est-à-dire, attention spoil. C'est pas le but d'être dans cette pièce? Enfin, je comprends pas. C'est les crédits. Ça spoil les autres fins. Et du coup, ça nous donne pas des infos justement de savoir ce qu'il faut faire? Tableau de paysage, que ça on les voit par exemple. T'étais pas censé arriver aussi vite ici. Bah j'y suis. Le rythme lors de cette section d'ouverture devrait être irréprochable. Le joueur soit sûr d'atteindre les deux portes au bon moment. C'est la porte de droite, mais du coup là-bas, là par exemple, ici. Ce plan vous montre le plan de bureau en début de partie. Ordinateur de Stanley. Ok, je comprends juste pas les portes, là il y a peut-être des trucs à voir. Armoire de rangement. Ah, ça c'est le pattern qui est utilisé en boucle. Ordinateur de bureau. Je peux juste les éteindre, on peut pas les allumer derrière? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas un son de bouton? Ok. Salle de maintenance. Ouais, très bien. Ok, derrière ça, t'as ça. Le bureau, mais putain, mais c'est... Annonce ultra de luxe. Fun, machin, tout ça. Zone de guerre. C'est un champ de bataille contre des extraterrestres. Nous avons réalisé que c'était un peu poussé la blague trop loin et que c'était peut-être plus trop plein. Putain, on comprend rien quand même là. Hein. C'est quoi, c'est une série de mails? Email du narrateur. Des petites questions mail pour promouvoir le jeu. C'est vraiment le musée des devs, ouais, c'est ça? Cool. Putain, vas-y, on va juste avancer parce que là ça va être trop d'infos, donc... C'est quoi la fin, là? Même de ça, on n'arrive pas à la trouver. Vas-y, tuez-moi, là, comme ça. Hein. Fin de la liberté. Mettez-moi tout, là.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Ouais, fumez-moi la gueule, là.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
On continue le supplice, nous. Le Alt F4 pouvait peut-être te permettre de... Ok. On est reparti.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Ah mais là on a une mort d'avoir les 5 inputs. Les inputs honnêtement je crois que c'est le truc que j'ai le plus... Où on est le plus loin quoi. C'est pour dire... Putain la sensi. Vas-y je vais juste tout droit là. Je comprends rien, c'est un peu le but du jeu les frères.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
C'est un jeu de troll, putain. En vrai, moi j'aime bien les jeux comme ça, juste avec la voix du narrateur qui te...
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Allez, mets-moi tout, on va se refaire l'intégrale. Allez, l'intégrale, là, la tâche, on sait pas pourquoi, on va pas regarder au ciel, on va pas...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Voilà, si tu fais rien par exemple, même si je reviens là-bas, il se passe quoi? Tu vois rien, t'es juste en... Ah, donc ton non-choix, il est pas... T'es juste obligé d'avancer une fois que tu fais le truc, quoi.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Il y a toujours les deux fires et le truc bleu chelou en haut. Ça va pas évoluer ça. Hein. Vas-y, on voit la suite. Hein.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
Est-ce qu'il y a un truc avec les couleurs, les machins?
Or content. Walking, eating,
Ils nous ont
working.
montré le bruit
All of
des...
it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power
Mais ça, c'était pas le
over
bruit
another
de...
human life. For he
du
would
1 ni du 2,
dismantle
c'est
the
le bruit d'un
controls
spécial, mais du coup c'est le bruit du
once
4 mais qui est
and
là-haut
for
quoi,
all.
et qu'on n'a pas. Ah, ils font à chaque fois les mêmes bruits les trois. T'as le truc là-haut, mais le truc là-haut, le truc c'est que c'est bloqué devant. Il faut les mettre sur leur bon bruit. On les a entendus là, les bruits tout à l'heure, nous. J'ai une idée, ça peut pas servir à monter cette merde là. Comment tu peux genre faire un truc ici qui peut t'aider à monter? C'est pas comme si t'avais des trucs de saut, de machin et tout, donc c'est juste... Et ensuite t'as des couleurs, mais... Il faut genre reproduire des bruits. Non, c'est tous les mêmes bruits, quasiment. C'est un câble, moi. J'en peux plus, là. Putain. Bouton rouge. Ça sert à rien, le bouton rouge. Ouais, bon, bah là, je pense qu'il n'y avait pas grand-chose. Il y avait pas un truc, là? Ah non, c'est en bas à droite. Bah là, là, c'est chaud, là. Système
And when
off.
at last he found the source of the room's power,
J'avais mis...
he knew it was his duty,
J'avais
his
mis off, vas-y,
obligation
bah du coup on va
to
mettre
put
on,
an
hein.
end... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these
Ah,
years,
ça va
you
peut-être
go and
permettre
you try to
d'allumer
take control of the
l'électricité entre
machine
guillemets
for
pour derrière,
yourself. Is
quoi.
that what you wanted? Control?
Oui, contrôlez-moi. Et si je reviens derrière au même moment, là? Du coup, ça va peut-être faire sauter la porte. Je vais pouvoir appuyer sur le 4.
Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that.
No.
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Je me sacrifie.
If this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
Ça a ouvert la
You are
porte.
the star.
Ok, il va falloir faire un 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments
C'est où le
until
3?
the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance
free
of the
attempts
story.
remaining.
Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it
Ah,
burn
t'as
to
un
a
combo,
crisp.
mais
I have to say this,
c'est
though,
pas un combo
this version
de...
of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything.
Oh, il y a un
and take
combo à
back
faire,
the
mais c'est pas un
control
truc lié
wrested away
au
from you.
paysage?
It's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right
Charge.
now? Or did you just
Moi, j'étais trop
assume when you
content
saw that
d'appuyer sur 1, 2, 3, 4,
timer that
5,
something
là.
in this room was capable of turning it
3.
off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything,
parce que si
something
j'ai
here
0...
will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
Là, du coup,
That this
1.
video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place
J'ai gagné
is?
du temps, non?
Stanley, you're in for quite a
Marmite.
disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
Bah, je sais pas, j'ai essayé des trucs. Est-ce que c'est des bruits en mode le jaune ça correspond au 1, le truc ça correspond au machin et tout? Je suis nul en bruit, moi.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
Moi, je vais là-haut.
It's all the same to me.
Si je meurs, je vais mourir en hauteur.
And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Putain. C'est compliqué, hein. Je sais pas s'il y a un truc... Bon, là, on va pouvoir au moins appuyer sur le truc input.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
La question, c'est est-ce que j'ai fait un truc pas bien ou est-ce que c'est normal? Après, là, pour l'instant, on est plus sûr c'est normal vu...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Mais est-ce que tu peux avoir 2 fois la même fin aussi? Dans le sens 2 fois le même truc ou...
Yet there was
Ou
not
faut
a
faire que
single person
découvrir?
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
Mais du coup,
office.
t'avances pas quand
Coming
tu
to
fais
a
2 fois la même
staircase,
fin ou ça te permet quelque
Stanley
chose?
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Putain, on n'a pas retrouvé l'écran.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the
Ouais,
keypad.
merci.
Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway.
C'est fort, en vrai,
Surprise.
d'un point de vue narratif. Pour le coup, c'est quand même solide, hein. Mais du coup, qu'est-ce que je vais pouvoir faire là? Déjà, il y a la question de est-ce que le bouton 4, il va être ouvert maintenant? Ou pas? Parce que là, j'ai l'impression que je refais la même chose, quoi.
Stanley walked straight ahead
Si
through
je
the
vais à
large
gauche, je
door
crève.
that read Mind Control Facility.
Là, j'ai l'impression que je vais me refaire exactement.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
En fait, tu peux faire l'opposé de ce qu'il te dit. Merci les gars.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
Bon, là,
The
on aura pas
lives
beaucoup
of
d'infos
so
en
many
plus,
individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Bienvenue le crameau.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life
on va se faire la
utterly
même, quoi.
blind to the world?
Est-ce que les trucs sont différents et que du coup on apprend un peu plus? Genre là à gauche, est-ce que c'est ouvert?
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Ils ont 4 boutons.
For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Après, il y avait des points avec des différentes couleurs, enfin pas couleurs, mais des petits logos en bas à droite. Mais du coup, bah là, en fait, on se refait la même, quoi. Si je dis non, je sors. Si je dis oui, on se fait la même fin que juste avant. Là, la solution, c'était la porte de droite, quoi. Ou peut-être en dessous pour pas aller dans le bureau, mais...
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself.
Est-ce que je ferais pas rien du tout?
Control? Oh, Stanley.
Genre, je touche à rien.
I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Allez, on va nous 2 minutes là.
Until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley?
Il va rien se passer,
It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now.
Il doit y avoir un truc qui nous fait...
Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind.
Il doit y avoir un truc qui peut nous faire, avec un peu de chat, réussir... Est-ce que je ferais pas 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? On s'en fout, mais tant qu'à faire. On va faire 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Il y a eu un truc.
I have to say this, though.
Non?
This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
5.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
Il y a un truc
But
nouveau
I'm
là.
enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Je comprends pas. Faut juste aller à
dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Je me suis bouffé du... Ah, est-ce que c'est pas genre juste... Mais non, j'allais faire 1. J'allais faire 1 et appuyer sur 1. C'est là-bas.
But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me in the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again.
Et ça te fait genre...
And Stanley died again.
En fait, le 3 te permettait
And
pas de...
Stanley
Au
died
tout début,
again.
et ça c'est mort. Mais au tout début, en fait, il y avait un truc ici qui, quand on fait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, s'active là. Mais ensuite, en gros, t'as des numéros là, c'était pas forcément un nombre d'essais. Avec potentiellement des couleurs. Si on appuie en même temps, ça change pas grand chose.
Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
Parce que, en gros, il y a le bouton. Il y a marqué 5. Je fais la couleur 5. J'ai essayé le truc 5 tout court.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Et tu vois, là, il me manque l'ordinateur. Il nous manque un ordi pour pouvoir faire le truc du code. Le truc, c'est que pour essayer dans cette voie-là, il faut se rebouffer tout.
Stanley
Quoi. Voilà, à
came to a
droite.
set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Écoute ce qu'il te dit, bordel. Mais ferme ta gueule, non? Vous devenez toujours imbuvable sur ce genre de jeu. Peu importe ce qui se passe, c'est le genre de jeu que vous voulez que les streamers fassent et ensuite vous devenez imblairable.
This room.
Certains,
What a
hein,
beautiful
une minorité, mais...
What a but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ça, j'avais pas fait ça. J'étais allé au bout, moi, et du coup... donc
And
on va
so
aller
he
là.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Tout ça, on connaît pas. Là, ça te propose. On va descendre. Ah, c'est complexe. Là, ça m'a un peu tendu, le truc des... Parce que...
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander
J'ai fait ça?
about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go,
J'ai pas
from
fait.
here, it's, Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the
Quel
right.
chien.
Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I
doit être là, là.
thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Ah, c'est le but du jeu, hein, de se faire bouger dans tous les sens, quoi.
Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Quel chien.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Bon, on a toujours le truc où... Oh là.
All of his co-workers
Il nous
were
manque un
gone.
PC, parce qu'en fait,
What
tous
could it
ces
mean?
PC, on les a fait.
Stanley
C'est-à-dire
decided
qu'il
to
nous
go to the
manque pour
meeting
moi
room.
un chemin
Perhaps he
qu'on
had
n'a
simply
pas,
missed a
qu'on n'a
memo.
pas eu. Qui nous permettrait de... Après, c'est le truc d'insert code, je sais pas quoi. Je sais même pas si... Je vais aller à gauche, et au lieu de...
When Stanley... Wait, what?
Oh, c'est nouveau, ça?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley, let's find the story.
Ah bah là, on peut passer là. Moi, je dirais qu'on va là, parce que du coup, on va pouvoir voir derrière potentiellement ce qu'on voulait voir. C'est infini, non?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we just... Do we
On a
need to
fait tout un
restart the
tour
game
où...
again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Putain, j'aurais dû avancer dans la pièce. Oh là là. Et là, si on reste là en mode, bah, je décide de rester pour taffer. Parce que ce choix-là n'en est pas, ça.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Putain, j'en peux plus.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go
Ils
to the
sont très
meeting
forts.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Tu vois, en face, t'as des portes ouvertes, mais... Tu peux pas récupérer, donc...
Okay, yep,
Putain.
it's worse.
Bon, au moins, ça nous met dans des
Remembering
patterns
this
différents
wrong.
qui font
It's
débloquer un peu
possible
l'histoire.
the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
On va cliquer, là.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
Non, bah, de toute
The
façon, en vrai,
story.
faut pas
Here
trop
it
réfléchir, je
comes.
pense, faut juste avancer, quoi.
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Holy shit, c'est quoi ça?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Oui.
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Ouais,
I know
merci!
you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Ah, je me disais aussi.
Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all.
Ah bon?
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win.
Un
Some
peu.
people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
C'est là où tu peux
follow the
ouvrir ici.
line. How simple is that?
Ah, mais c'est tout nouveau, là! Ah, le solitaire, il nous avait montré que c'était un des 3 écrans. Moi, c'est bon,
You
je lui
see,
obéis. Hein.
the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Ouais.
cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Il va me dire que c'est pour troll. Ce chien. Il va me faire... Ah non, c'était une blague. Il me dit rien.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Voilà, on découvre des endroits qu'on a... Oh non.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through...
Oh là, c'est dur, là.
No, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
On va tous refaire.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
Ça, c'est vrai,
We're
ça.
intelligent people, right?
Oui.
Why can't we make up our own story?
Oui.
Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Où ça? Voilà. Allez. Moi, j'y vais.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new
Voilà, on est bien.
path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our
Un
story
carré.
to be? Go wild. Use your imagination.
Ah, that's good.
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Putain, j'en peux plus. J-Pep.
Oh, no, not you again.
Elle est de retour.
Stanley, I'd also
Hey, ils
like
sont
to
fous.
veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ils sont fous, les devs. Pas aller là-haut?
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Vas-y.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying
fait mal
to
aux yeux.
go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's
Dis-moi où je dois
origin.
aller, là.
So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then
Allez.
by all accounts,
On va à
the
droite.
door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley.
Ouais, go.
Our destiny awaits.
En route.
Oh,
La fin
hold on,
troublante.
what's this?
Vous avez joué la fin
The
troublante pendant 17
confusion
minutes.
ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
Putain.
That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
Ouais.
Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well,
Au bout d'un long
consulted
moment, Stanley
me.
meurt. Voilà,
Why
là,
don't I
c'est...
get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't
Là, faut
do
juste
it.
le laisser, là.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way
Putain,
that this
c'est un
is a
cauchemar,
kind of
celle-là.
story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the
Le truc, c'est que ça donne pas
destination
d'infos en
or the
plus, là. Ça,
journey.
c'est des
Though they're
possibilités,
always
mais...
saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's
Trouver une
where we
librairie,
are
ça
right
peut.
now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Putain. Bon, là, on est reparti sur des trucs...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Du coup, la question, c'est est-ce que tout le truc a reset, entre guillemets, ou est-ce que... New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
On va crever. On va crever. On va se bouffer les plaques, non? Qu'est-ce qu'on se bouffe, là?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable.
Ah, ça c'est le nouveau
Ultra
contenu
Deluxe.
d'Ultra Deluxe, du coup?
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Putain, déjà l'ancien rendez fou, alors. Toutes ces fiches au sol aussi.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
C'est fort, en vrai.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
On va se faire troll. Ça va vous sinon? Ça se passe? Moi ça va. Voilà.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Quelle bande de chiens.
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content,
Mec,
then
il
I
est
could
solo
just
avoir
read
fait
you the
ça?
whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Pourquoi ils ont demandé l'heure au début?
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about.
Putain, faut
No
quand même aimer
frills,
se faire manipuler
no
le crâne, quoi,
gimmicks.
parce que...
Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ouais, on est reparti. Oh, c'est nos anciens bureaux.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show... Oh, you don't want to see the cool
No.
surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Là, si je reviens, il a fermé la porte derrière, juste ici.
Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Ça, c'est super fort, en fait, tous les chemins, avec toutes les voies et tout, je trouve ça vraiment... Ah ben voilà, c'était fini. Le bâtard. Ah non.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how
Mais ils se sont
wonderful
fait des
Stanley
clips de
Parable
fou, hein.
was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
La gueule de la maison. Le petit piano.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more
Putain,
than
mais-
games end up less than any
T'as
form of
l'impression que c'est ton
art,
pote au bout d'un moment,
Stanley
mais tu joues
Parable
seul, tu
strives
deviens fou,
and then
quoi.
succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Pas aller dans la zone de maintenance.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
Mais
The
quel
Stanley
chien!
Parable is both a richly
J'en peux
stimulating
plus!
commentary on the nature of choice in
Il se
games
branle sur toutes
and
ses
one that
reviews dans
offers
son...
some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever
Putain,
been confronted
je
with in a
deviens fou,
game.
là.
9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be
C'est
left
fort, par contre, ouais,
alone.
de...
To spend the rest of
Jouer le
time
troisième
collecting
personnage,
dust
là.
in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Comment je fais? Je peux pas passer? Je dois revenir derrière?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Ils vont dire que des
Surely
critiques
these
de ouf
reviews
ou...
were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ah, donc ça va être des gens qui ont pas kiffé? Ah ouais.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one
C'est
says.
tous les
While
mauvais
the idea
avis.
for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. But dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as... What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded
En fait, il joue de son truc pour
explanations of what's
l'imposer.
happening. I wish there was a skip button.
C'est genre, en vrai, c'est trop fort. Ça rend fou, vraiment, là, j'en peux plus, mais c'est trop fort.
Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
On vérifie.
And here it is.
va faire que
You're
des-
back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a
Ça va
few
être que
minutes,
ça.
but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling
Que des gros
monologue
skips.
full of...
Boum.
Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what cooking...
Sinon, tu te le fais en
Okay,
intégral.
welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. Stanley!
Ah oui,
Stanley!
t'as
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's
Il se
no
passe quoi
way
si
out
je
of
reste?
the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you.
On va appuyer.
Oh, Stanley, you're back.
Ah non, il va
You're
mourir.
back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
Ça fait 3 ans.
Stanley,
Ah non.
I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
On le tue.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through.
Moi, je l'enchaîne, moi. Moi, je veux pas l'écouter, moi. Il est mort. Oui, il va se réveiller. Dead.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review.
Le message passe.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Tout s'effondre petit à petit. La fuite d'eau. Encore un petit skip et on est mort, on va pouvoir passer. On va peut-être pouvoir sortir bientôt. Mettre des animaux au prochain. Ah. Tout est détruit. Petit Tcherno, ouais. Putain, il est mort le narrateur. Oh! Il n'y a plus rien. La Terre est morte. Enfin, ils ont une créativité les mecs, n'empêche. C'était un prank, t'étais sur Minecraft. Petite aventure, aventure survie qui démarre les gars. C'est quoi ça? On le saura pas. Re dans le bureau. Putain. Oh! Il se passe quoi là? Bienvenue au paradis. C'est ce que j'attendais pour comprendre. C'était ma seule piste. Tous ces boutons qu'il fallait appuyer. Donc ça se réactive. Oh, je suis abattu. Je dois faire quoi? Je sais plus ce que je dois faire moi. Bah ouais, je voulais appuyer sur tous les boutons moi. Ça a pas l'air ouf le paradis là comme ça. Est-ce que je peux passer en dessous? Ah, vous avez vu? Ah, j'avais même pas remarqué qu'ils bougeaient pas tous. Ah si, ils bougent tous mais pas à la même vitesse. Oh, c'est ma caméra qui bouge. Aidez-moi! Pas dans le même sens. Bon, là, je dois faire quoi concrètement? Ouais, t'as des verres qui brillent plus que d'autres, mais Mais ça... Reset, mais reset ça veut dire quoi? Je peux pas... En fait je peux même pas toucher ce duo. Je peux pas toucher plus haut que ça. Ah si. Non là j'en peux plus là. Moi je voulais être heureux et... Resetting the game on your own. Ligne verticale éteinte. On dirait qu'ils disent Hot Ones. Ça va, le TF4. Hein. J'avais pas compris dans la salle. Three hours later. Je pense que t'es Keblo, non? Moi je pense qu'on est Keblo vu la gueule du jeu et... Peut-être un verre par ligne par exemple. Eh ben non. Il y a une verticale, oui, pour que ça s'aligne. Essaye d'éteindre 1, 3, 5 et d'anticiper 2 et 4. C'est pas con. Mais tu vois, c'est jamais vraiment... Je suis trop con en plus. Ah, nique sa mère. Hein. J'en peux plus, ça m'a lavé le cerveau. J'en ai marre. Oh, ça m'a détruit. Je lui ai posé des questions, j'ai l'impression de ne pas avoir réussi. Il s'est moqué de moi. J'ai envie de savoir ce qui se passe sur la fin. Recommencer le jeu pour voir. Du coup, c'était ça le... Mais moi, c'était mon seul... C'était mon seul espoir, moi.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that but eager to get back to business?
Les gars, vous n'avez pas découvert que c'est infini à chaque fois quand même.
Stanley took the first open...
Que oui, si on refait le new content, je pense qu'on n'avait pas fait l'intégralité du new content et que c'était pas juste 2800 et on meurt parce qu'on a fait skip 4 fois, quoi.
Door on his left.
Enfin, sans non plus trop m'avancer, hein, sur concrètement ce qu'est le jeu, quoi. Ce jeu me fait du mal, là.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Putain, on est pile poil au même truc. J'en peux plus. J'ai l'impression de suffoquer, de me noyer.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave
Je crois
of
que les jeux de
disbelief,
boucle, c'est pas pour
Stanley
moi.
decided to go up to his
12
boss's
minutes,
office.
ça m'avait
Coming to a
déjà tué.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Je vais mettre escape. Et s'il n'y a pas l'escape, eh ben, c'est pas grave. En tout cas, je vais mourir. Ah, ce truc-là, on comprend pas.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Je vais mourir.
Although this passageway had
Je
the
préfère
word
mourir.
escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his
Ça va être
violent
exactement
death.
la même fin. Oh, ou alors on se fait une dernière avec les boutons. On se fait une dernière avec les boutons.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too
Oh,
much
ça
to
me-
live for.
Le truc des boutons, je vois déjà les 2 minutes où j'appuie sur tous les boutons et finalement il se passe rien.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find
Je me
out?
cache. Non, oh, en plus on m'a spoil qu'il n'y a rien au bouton là, je vais m'infliger ça pour rien.
Now the monitors
J'ai envie de
jumped to
sauter, là.
life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many
Oh, là, il y avait la
individuals
place, urgent.
reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley,
Oh, l'urgence,
one
je peux
of
même pas
them,
le lire.
eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility,
tu veux des pistes,
it
tu
was
me
too
dis.
horrible
Non,
to
voilà,
believe
honnêtement,
it couldn't be true.
en fait, je suis un mec hyper
Had
pas
Stanley
patient, mais là,
really
j'en
been
peux
under
plus, là.
someone's control all this
Le
time?
jeu est trop bien, mais
Was
du
this
coup,
the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his
c'est une souffrance.
emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
J'ai envie de réessayer le truc des boutons parce que j'ai dû me planter sur
No.
pour essayer de comprendre.
He refused to
Mais-
believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
En fait, à un moment, on avait l'impression que genre quand je faisais le code, t'avais cette porte-là qui s'ouvrait là.
Controls labeled with emotions.
Mais, sûrement non, quoi.
Or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working.
En fait, ce que je comprends pas, c'est à quel point du coup, genre tu sors, tu finis.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another
J'avoue, le bébé,
human
c'est
life.
insupportable.
For he would dismantle the controls one. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
J'en peux plus. Le jeu est trop bien. Mais ça me détruit le cerveau. Le jeu me détruit le cerveau, j'en ai marre. Je trouve ça genre absolument génial de ce qu'il a fait le dev avec la voix de narrateur, etc. À quel point c'est genre une nouvelle parce que j'avais pas joué en 2013, une nouvelle mécanique d'intégration dans un jeu, que le jeu te troll mais avec une conscience et tout. Mais ça me fait câbler en fait. Genre ça me fait câbler parce que du coup je sais pas si genre il y a une logique d'énigme et que du coup j'ai pas la logique d'énigme, ou s'il faut juste se faire porter en boucle dans ce contenu et du coup je sais pas et du coup ça m'énerve. Donc et je sais même pas ce qui peut se passer à la fin, c'est-à-dire que quand t'as fait genre entre guillemets 25 fins, c'est la vraie fin du jeu. Est-ce que c'est genre... regarde une run win. Mais est-ce qu'il y a des run win, tu vois? Il n'y a pas de fin, c'est dit dans le jeu.